Right, Paul, it's great to have you back on the podcast today.
Adam, it's always great. Our conversations are always fun. So I always look forward to coming on your podcast and just rapping about life.
Yeah, no, it's always great to have you on, and I think like we flow really well and connect really well. And yeah, I just kind of thought I'd start off by kind of like as I said before, like about podcasting and like the podcasting journey, and kind of how it kind of has it changed you as a person and kind of how you've evolved, and yeah, just kind of about the process and go with the flow. Like, how has it kind of like been working for you?
Yeah, as we talked about this off air, Justin and I are getting to the point where we're getting more viewership, which is an awesome, awesome thing. But as a result of this new viewership, it's not always positive feedback that you're getting. I just had a great episode with Manny Garcia. Thanks to you, Adam. Great guest.
Yeah.
Thank you for the referral there. And I had somebody reach out to us and basically said that they love Justin. He's very polished. He's really, really good. But they did not like me. They thought I stink. So it's hard to, take that. The I stink, but Justin's good, which Justin is good. He's awesome. He's very polished, and he has a great vocabulary, and he's very intelligent, and he's very entertaining. And I come from a different spectrum of it. I don't want to be as polished as him. I think that makes the dynamic good between the two of us on Actions and Limits. He's a little bit more polished, and I'm kind of the lighter end of the host. And I think together, I think it makes it more of a dynamic podcast. But it's interesting, when you go on, when you read this feedback, it's tough to hear that you stink. That people think you stink, but it's basically one person's opinion, and for me, I strive to do well, and I'll continue to get better. I can definitely improve my hosting skills, and I will do that. And I think it's all about repetition, as you know, that we just can continue to go and grow and see what works, see what doesn't work. But yeah, it's an interesting dynamic that you start to get when people start to throw that negative feedback towards you.
Yeah, no, I sorry for like the feedback, but I mean like I think as you said, like Justin's good in what he's doing, and I think that you're good in what you're doing, and I think you're both very different people. You both you both come from different backgrounds, and you both have different strengths, and well, I think you work well together, and I think that's like one person's opinion, isn't it? And
Mhm.
there's going to be a large percentage of your viewership and audience who do like you and do like the show. I think it's like I said, that's one person's opinion, isn't it, or a couple of people's opinion, and I think we have to kind of like kind of learn. Try, is it easier than it sounds? Try not to take that too personal, and it's not nice when you do get that. And I think like it's a bit like a failure, isn't it, or like mistakes you make in life. I think when you have them, it's crap, but then you kind of get that resilience to it. It's like we're all kind of on that same kind of journey and process of both in the same field. So I've had guys say to me on YouTube, some guy said, "Oh, why are you doing it in your car for?" And I've had a lot of people say that, and I had someone I did have on the call one time. She said, "Oh, I don't like you being in the car and stuff like that." And people saying I was not professional, and yeah, it's crap. But I think, like you said, it's just their opinion, isn't it? And I think, like you said, there's that kind of negative comment, and then there's like positive feed. There's positive is it positive criticism.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think that as human beings, and even big celebrities and big people that do podcasts, and people, they gravitate towards those negative comments. So you go to Twitter, and you can talk to a celebrity or CEO or what have you, and there could be 2,000 positive comments, and the person doesn't respond, but there's 3 or 4 negative comments, and the person responds. So, as human beings, unfortunately, we see those negative comments and we want to respond and we want to, make things right.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of times, like with me and with you, Adam, is, we're giving it 110 and we want to do a good job with our podcast. And so it's hard when you're giving your heart and soul that, hey, I'm doing whatever I can, maximum effort, and doing what I can to do a good show, and somebody says you stink. It's a gut punch because you're like, oh man, well, I'm really giving it a go. But like you said, I mean, it's one person's opinion. You're not going to please everybody, and I think that when you get a larger audience, that's going to happen more often. You're going to upset people for your opinions or your beliefs or the guests that you have on, and that's the way it goes. But you hopefully, when you're authentic to yourself, that more people will gravitate towards you because they feel that you're being truthful. I think that's very, very, very important. When I listen to other people's podcasts, if I feel like they're not authentic, I kind of just shut it off and turn it off. But interesting thing that I want to ask you, Adam, is you do. I know I've seen you do in your car, and hey, you got to do a podcast where you got to do a podcast, which I understand that. What is their reasoning why they think it's unprofessional that you're in your car as opposed to in your living room?
Yeah, I mean, I think because most people see them in a studio doing it, or they're in their house or in a room, and I think because I'm doing it in a car, it's that people just, or if I'm wearing a jumper or something,
Or wearing a what? I'm sorry.
Like a jumper or something, like a hoodie or something like that.
Okay.
I've had feedback from that sometimes, and I for me, I think it doesn't matter kind of where you do it; it's kind of the content of what you're putting out, isn't it?
Oh, I 100% agree with that. Now, when you have this feedback before you start your episode, do they just say, forget it, I'm not going to do it, or do you do the episode and you feel the energy pour, or are you able to overcome it?
Yeah, I think one of the, I mean, I had something happen recently. I won't mention the person's name, but I had someone who had a certain guest on their show, and I reached out, and I was nice, and I said, would I see you have so and so on your show? Would you be able to, perhaps, give me the agent's email or something like that, someone I can get in touch with, And it was like, oh, I don't think they would be on your show because X, Y, Z, and you've only got X, Y, Z, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, and that hurt. That that's someone that I kind of liked the stuff that they're doing, and I was like, okay, so this is how they're coming across, and I had to try and not let that in, not to compare myself too much to their show, what they're doing, or however many downloads they get, because they rejected it. So that was difficult, but I had to literally just, all you can do is kind of go forward, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, most definitely. And it's hard to do, but you got to do it. Is don't compete against anybody else or anybody else's podcast because you don't know where their starting line is and you don't know where their finishing line is. The podcast that you're referring to, I have no idea, don't care, it's none of my business, but they've probably been doing it a lot longer than you. And now they found their flow, and maybe they have sponsorships and maybe they're but down the road you'll get there, and hopefully when you do get there, because you will get there because you're a very talented podcast host, that
thanks.
when somebody is at the level you're at now asking for help as far as guests are concerned, hopefully you'll remember that and you'll help that person out so that you can lift them up as opposed to tearing them down.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate that, and I think that's a great point, isn't it? And it's kind of turning that. It's kind of how you flip that, isn't it? And how you kind of turn it around. And I think, like you said, I'm not a resentful person. I don't hold any grudges, and I I couldn't be like that. And I think it's, I would rather, like you said, help that other person in the future if they ask for help. And I think, what you give out, you kind of, comes back to you. And I like to help people with guests and things like that if they ask me. And it's like you said, yeah, it's just to keep on going and kind of, I think, like, let that motivate you more, isn't it? As well. But, I think, sorry.
No, I'm listening. I'm sorry, I didn't.
No, no, so, and I think with the person that might have said the thing about you is like, it just makes me think, are they even doing, they're probably not even doing a podcast. So some people can't really say things if they're not doing it themselves. I think a lot of times people can say things out of envy sometimes, maybe, their own whatever issues. And I saw a TikTok video the other day, and there's a guy who's streaming on his Twitch, and someone posted a comment and said, "Oh, how do you feel with 10 views or 10 viewers?" And he turned it around and he was like, "Oh, well, they're my tribe. What? Imagine how cool it'd be if I had 10 people sat behind me watching me play." And I was like you said, a lot of people just react or want to react, and he just kind of flipped it around. It was just nice.
Yeah, I think that when you're doing a podcast or a post, any type of content you're putting out, I think it's important to really concentrate more on the content itself than worrying about what the viewership is going to be. Because if you're worried about what the viewership can be, it turns to be flat and it turns to be not authentic. But if you're not worried about, if I get 2 views, if my mom's the only one that views it, all well, I want to put out this content because it's important to me. Because I think it's all about consistency. You put it out more and more and more, there will be the people that are being like, they'll see, I like this Adam Parr guy. He says some good stuff. I'm going to start following him, and then it just grows from there. But we got to have the patience to just do what we feel is right for ourselves and our content, because I think that's extremely important. And to that point of ignoring that noise, because you're going to have people that may not agree with your content or think it's stupid or whatever their reasoning is, and we just got to just let that go. I understand it's hard. There's a speech by a former president, Theodore Roosevelt. It's called "Man in the Arena," and basically it talks about it's all about that person that puts themselves out there in the arena, whatever that arena is, and takes the negative energy, takes the positive energy, and moves forward, because that is the most important thing, is taking action. I think that a lot of people get paralyzed and not take action because of they may get negative feedback on social media, or they're afraid of failure and such. And if you can just put that aside and say, you know what, I want to do this because I want to do this, that's the strength right there. You start building from there, and you just take small steps, and if you fall, pick yourself up and keep going. Because if it's something that you really truly want, if it's a true passion, you'll find a way. If it's not a true passion, you'll find an excuse not to do it. So it's very important to find your passion and try different things. Try to see if it's going to be your passion or not.
I really love that, and I think that's a really great point. And I think great points. And I think, as you said, like the downloads, and I remember doing it one time. Like I switched to Captivate, which is like where podcast hosts, and I remember like the downloads on one time went like really sky high, and then it just went poof. And I was like, oh my god, like what's going on? Am I not good enough? What's going on? And then I felt crap for a little bit, and then I had to kind of like just go, no, it doesn't matter about numbers. It's a bit like the market. It's constantly up and down. And I think, as you said, just focus on what it is that you're doing. I don't really pay attention to numbers anymore. I check it, but I don't it's not my motivation, my driving force. I don't, if I get, like I say, 10 people listen to it, that's great. 5, that's still 5 people who, may take something from it. And I think it's so true what you said. And going to is what you said. Just keep on that consistency and just keep on moving forward, and just doing that 1% every day. Then just keep on doing it, and it soon builds. And like I find that pretty amazing how that organically happens as well. And I don't think if you had it blow up straight away, I don't think you. Yeah, it'd be great, but I think it's more impactful if you have those small builds up to that, and then it goes. If it does blow up, and I think if it went up straight away, you probably wouldn't appreciate it as much because you think about Joe Rogan and like he just kept on doing it. I think he said himself like I just keep on doing it, and yeah, he was a bit famous before that, but I think as you said, no matter what you put into, if you keep on doing it, it will build.
Yeah, absolutely. And to talk about Joe Rogan, yeah, you know what? He probably picked up faster than, the average podcast, obviously. But you don't hear the story about him as a stand-up comedian when he was 18 years old, being bombed on stage and all those struggles. You got to put that into play too. It wasn't just like he just did a podcast and then he was successful. He built his name so that when he started doing the podcast, that's what built it up. But it wasn't just like he was an overnight success. And even with the podcast, it took him a couple of years, but he had the name because of what he built, as a young teenage man. So it wasn't just like he was an overnight success. We have to realize that about him. And and that's what I work with my clients that I have now. I think that the biggest thing with my clients that I press to them is patience. If you are doing the things that you're supposed to do, things will come into play. But it's most of the time it's not going to be tomorrow, unfortunately. I wish it was, but it's not. I mean, that's not reality. Sometimes it takes years. But if you're doing the right things, good things will happen. And the most important thing, more than accomplishing the goal, is you need to enjoy the journey. I know not everything in the journey is going to be sunshine and roses, but overall, you need to be able to say to yourself in the present moment, I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying, this journey that I'm on. And I think that is so important, especially if you're a person that's setting some daunted goals. I mean, I have a client, a great client, and she wants to. Her goal is to be on Oprah's Soulful Sunday.
Yeah.
That's her goal. And then she gets all in her head like, oh, I'm not getting there and this and that. I'm like, you realize the goal that you're setting for yourself? I mean, it's great that you're setting this goal, but that is a hard goal to mix. It's not going to happen tomorrow. You got to build on that. You got to go for it. There's so many people that want to get on that show with Oprah. You can't just, give it a go for 2 months and then give up. If you really want this goal, it's going to take you years and years and years to get there. You can do it, but you got to put in the work and you got to be patient.
No, I agree, Paul. So I'm just getting my dog on this bed. 1 second.
Oh, no worries. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And I think like it's so important that, we see it in the long game. Like you said, that person who wants to be on Oprah. And as you said, it's not going to happen, straight away. And it's that, that continuous push forward, isn't it, to meet your kind of goals, regardless of what that is.
Yeah, whatever that is. And it goes back to that journey. We got to enjoy the journey that we're on. If we're not, what's the point? As far as I know, we only have one life to live. And I have other clients, that are quote unquote successful people. I put that in quotations, but they say to themselves, they're at this point in their life where like they bulldoze the last 10 years of their life just to get to, where they want to be in the corporate ladder. And now they're looking back and going, man, I didn't spend any time with my family. I never did this. I didn't travel. All I did was work. I mean, I rarely took any time off. And now, I'm 10 years older and I'm starting to think, well, it's great that that I've got to this level, but what's the overall point of it? I'm not happy. And that's the whole point of it. I mean, it's not always about that monetary gain. It's more about, inside. How are you fulfilling yourself inside?
Mm.
And that's the true secret of life, is how are you fulfilling yourself inside? Because you could have trillions and trillions of dollars and be miserable. I mean, there's people out there that are billionaires that kill themselves. Why do they kill themselves?
Yeah.
They can get anything they want. They have all the money they
Mm.
want, but they're not happy inside. They're not fulfilled inside, and that's
Mm.
that's the most important part.
Yeah. That's exactly it. And I think that's kind of, I think, like what people see in society and what happiness is. And I think it's very personal to each person, isn't it? But I think if you're not happy inside yourself and you don't have that good relationship with yourself, then a lot of people, well, what they thought was happiness, isn't the true thing that makes them happy. It's like a temporary thing. And I've definitely experienced that in the past when I was thinking, oh, clothes, buying clothes, and I remember getting it like a new shirt, and oh, it's great, and then okay, I've had it a week now, or gonna get the next thing, and I think that's half the issue, isn't it? People don't actually what they think is making them happy isn't actually what it is. And I was talking to a guy on a podcast today, and he was saying, like, for him, it's like a pizza almost. It's like a like a big circle. There's health, money, family, house. These all kind of
Finances.
things. Yeah. Do you think that kind of comes down to like because what like pizza? What's it called? Is it Laszlo's thingy of needs?
Yeah. Yeah, matter of fact, I just did that. We'll recently in a group I was in. We did, we ranked ourselves in different categories. One of them that I was low on the wheel was celebration, not celebrating my victories, and I think that's extremely important that I start doing that more often, celebrating my wins, because it gives you that that self assurance. Hey, I'm going in the right direction.
Mm.
I'm my toughest critic, going, you know what, I can't celebrate just yet because of X, Y, and Z. I have a bottle of whiskey that I got at a distillery, and it's a
Nice.
beautiful bottle, and it has the name of my business on it. And and I've been somewhat successful with clients and all that stuff, but I still don't want to take a drink out of the bottle. And like, my friends are like, dude, you're doing really well. How come you're not taking a drink? Because that's the goal, that when I felt really good, I was going to take a drink of the bottle to celebrate, have a nice little drink of whiskey, listen to jazz, and just have a moment of, celebration. Yeah. I haven't done that yet. And they're like, you should do that, man. You're doing really well. And I'm like, and so now I'm thinking, yeah, I need to open that bottle up and pour a little whiskey and cheers of the hard work I've been doing.
Yeah, that's it. I think a lot of the time a lot of people can get caught into that, and it's like I said, giving yourself that kind of appreciation for what it is that you're doing, and like a pat on the back, isn't it? And I think we keep on kind of just going and going. And I think sometimes, like, yeah, you have to kind of stop to say, yeah, I'm doing well in X, Y, Z. And, I think that's really important to do, and I think that's something that I have tried to learn to do, over time as well. I think for me, it comes down to, like, sometimes I can feel guilty if I say the weekend, if I watch a film or if I do something. For me, I can kind of worry about time. And I think one of my lessons was like giving myself that time to do X, Y, Z. Like you said. But I think it's like all the time we don't realize these things, do we? As you mentioned, with the whiskey and celebrating. I think it's important to do that, isn't it?
It's most definitely important to do it, and I'm a hypocrite because I tell my clients all the time to celebrate. This is great. Whatever you're doing right now, this is great. You need to celebrate, and I'm pushing them in their heads. And I'm saying to myself, well, why am I not telling myself this? I'm telling my clients this all the time, that they need to celebrate their victories, and I celebrate with them. in ways, cheers them and everything else. I don't really, I see all, my clients virtually, but through Zoom and such, I definitely celebrate their victories with them, and I make sure they do this because, it makes you feel good, but I need to do it for myself. I need to say, you know what, Paul, you're doing really well. I mean, you've been helping out thousands of clients through your your podcast and through your coaching program, and say, hey, look at the hard work you're putting in for your clients and everything else. So it's important that we do that. And it all goes back to that journey, right? It goes back to enjoying that journey, which I do enjoy. I am enjoying this journey. I mean, it's been a great voyage that I've been on. I mean, as a result of this voyage I've been on, I'm able to connect with you across the pond. I would never be able to do this if I didn't, start doing podcasts and, getting into the coaching realm and doing all this stuff. I wouldn't be able to meet amazing people otherwise, like yourself, Adam.
Yeah. No, cheers, Paul. I really appreciate it. And I think it's so true, isn't it? And I feel the same as well. And if you're not doing it, if I wasn't doing this, I want to have met you as well. I want to have met, a lot of other people, and we've had some really great podcasts. And me and you a number of times. I think this is the third one we've done together, and then I had you and Justin on mine as well. And I think you meet really great people, and I think you grow as a person through doing podcasting, and I think you're doing a great job in your coaching and what you're doing. I think you're genuine to in what you're putting out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about, like we talked about, the consistency piece and putting out pieces of content that are important to you. And I told you off air, man, Adam, you're a machine of all the content that you put out all the time. I mean, it's hard I try my best to keep up with it. As much as I can to listen to your stuff, but you put out so much. So I'm like, I'm behind on listening to your stuff, which is a great thing, because I know it's, when I listen to your stuff, and I listen to your stuff regularly, how authentic you are and how much you've grown. I mean, from when I first saw you doing videos, which was really good, to now, which is even better. And I think it's just all repetition that you're doing. And I'm sure your clients that you have in the coaching realm really appreciate what you're doing. And I know I get a little bit of tidbits from you on what you say, and you say it in a different way that I didn't think about. And when I think about it that way, okay, that makes sense, and what you're talking about there. So it's great. And, we listen to a lot of stuff. I mean, I know you and I listen to a lot of Gary Vee, and I get a lot of stuff out of him. And he preaches patience. I like, who's the gal that does the 5-second rule? Mel Robbins. Is that her name? Mel Robbins?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
I like her stuff. Tony Robbins is really good. And the list goes on and on people that I listen to. And it's funny, you just get different little feedbacks. But the most important thing, though, when you listen to somebody like yourself or Tony Robbins or whoever you like, that you take it in, but you take action. I mean, there's so often you read these self-help books, or we look at YouTube or the TikTok, Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and we watch these videos and we think, oh, this is great, I should implement that in a plan. And then you don't do it, then it's almost, I hate to say this, but it's almost worthless, because you're not taking the advice and moving yourself forward with it. I think that there's a good piece of taking in good content, taking in good information, and really analyzing what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And once you kind of figure that out and what does, then take action with it. Make yourself uncomfortable, however that is. I mean, it could be you're a shy person and you want to make friends, and it's hard for you to make friends. Well, if that's the case, that you're shy like that, I would challenge you to talk to one stranger a day, and just try to make conversation with one stranger a day. And more times you do that, the better you are in doing that and starting conversation. And after a while, you'll start to build some rapport, and maybe these people that are now strangers may become your friends, or they may recommend you to different groups. So it opens so many doors, if you take yourself out of that comfort zone and push yourself in whatever that is.
I love that. I love that what you mentioned, and I just want to say, like, like a massive thank you, for what you said, and always for kind of mentoring me and giving me support in what I'm doing. It really, really means a lot, and I'm really grateful, to be, your friend and to be able to do this. And it really means a lot to me. And I think it's like you said, it's like reading books, isn't it? People can read books and get that knowledge, and then it's okay, you're holding that knowledge, but it's that power in kind of executing on that, isn't it? As you said, you can watch these videos unless you execute and take. If you don't take those bits from it and you don't execute on it, then it's just like you're just watching a film, like normal. And yeah, I think that's something that we should do. Even if you just take notes and then just implement it, bit by bit, isn't it? And I think that's kind of what got me into podcasting, because I remember, like, I was looking on a video the other day, and it was January or March 2019, and I was saying I'm going to do a podcast soon, and I didn't do it until January 2020. And then part of me thought, what was I doing in that time? Like, what was I doing, in that space? I was probably held back by, fear and judgment of other people and all of these things. So people don't always see that, but there is that before you initially start it, isn't there?
Yeah, it's that fear of failure that we worry about,
Yeah.
what could go wrong instead of worrying about what could go right. I mean, that's the attitude that I preach to my clients all the time. Is they go, well, what
Mm.
if this happens? I go, but what if this happens? What if you're very
Yeah.
successful? What then? If you get to that goal, what happens then? Visualize that. What happens? You get to the top of the mountain where the goal that you set and you do it. Then what?
Mm.
You
Mm.
visualize that. I mean, there's go on. I'm sorry. You were going to say something?
No, that's fine. I'm
Oh,
just
okay.
agreeing.
Yeah. But, I did something the other day, visualizing, the top of the mountain and what it looked like for me. And you know what? It was funny. What I was visualizing was people clapping. I
Mm.
visualized people clapping. I visualized doing a talk and people clapping for me, and that's the goal for me now. Taking my coaching business and start to do speaking engagements. I mean, it's been a little bit tough. I'm not going to use any excuses though, because of
Mm.
COVID, and there's not too many live events. So that's why I like to go on different people's podcasts like you and
Mm.
speak and talk about different types of issues or
Yeah.
concerns and such. But that's what I was visualizing in my head. Is and that's where I want to take it. And I think that and now it's all about taking action, right?
Mm.
Uh,
Mm.
Doing what I need to do to get there. And that's what I tell my clients. So that's why the name of my business is called A Call to Action, because that's what
Yeah.
I want you guys. That's what I want people to do. I think it's great that people have dreams and aspirations and they think about
Mm.
things. And I think that's awesome. All that is great. And the
Mm.
next step is, after you have these dreams or aspirations or these goals, now you need to put it to paper or on your tablet or come up with a plan and then start taking action. One step at a time, even if it's a small step, it's progression.
Mm. Yeah, that's definitely, isn't it? It's showing up and just taking action, and taking those small steps each time. And I had a conversation with someone the other day, and she's going to be on the podcast, and she's an author. Like, she's in the UK, and she's written like a few books during like the first few lockdowns, and the proceeds went to the NHS, which is like the health service. And she's never been on a podcast, and she was saying, like, but I'm only like a kind of a low profile, not low pro. Like, she was comparing herself to some of the people I've had on my podcast and their titles, and I said, I don't focus on the title, I focus on the people. I can see that she's had something, and I kind of want to kind of give her that kind of platform to kind of showcase kind of what she's doing. And I think it's like just taking that action, isn't it? And the lady agreed to do it. But you don't know what's going to come from that. You don't know who's going to be listening to that. You don't know what opportunities are going to open up, do you? And I think this is kind of what has made me aware of when I've done podcasts and the people that you might network with from doing that, or from it happened the other day, just from asking someone if they have any connections who'd be interested in something, just by asking, isn't it? And then it can just open up a whole another avenue of different things coming your way sometimes.
If you don't ask, it's always a no.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that it is what that is what it is. If you do not ask, it's a no. We need to get over that fear of asking. We got to ask, because what's the worst thing that could happen? It's a no. It's just a no. Okay, fine. It's a no. I know it's tough for human beings to feel rejection. I get it. That's why, it's hard, for like, men or boys that are asking girls out, and they stop themselves from asking a girl out because they're worried about a no. And, and if you do it more often, if you ask girls out more often, the less you'll have that fear. And then once you hear that no, then you're like, okay, I'll move on. And that's the same thing with sales. I talk to people all the time. This was one great salesperson. He goes, I play a game. He goes, I tried to get 100 no's in a row, and then he'll be on call 27. And he'll get a yes, and he's like, oh, I got to start over to get my no's. And he plays a game with himself, but he's getting sales because he's making the phone calls, right? And he's making a game out of it. He's making fun out of these sometimes these daunting tasks of talking to people and asking for the business. But it's truly important. If you're an entrepreneur, you're a coach, you're in sales, and anything like that, you have to ask for you have to ask for it. I mean, like for me, like I'm asking, my goal every week is to be on at least 2 podcasts a week, at least. And so, I'm networking with different groups, and I think I share that group on Facebook. It's a good group. And sometimes people, I'll hook people up and say, hey, I would like to come to your podcast, and I tell them what I want to talk about or this and that, and they'll say, you know what, no, you're not a fit, or you're not qualified, or whatever they say, and it's like, okay, move on. I really don't have. I used to have like a rebuttal to it, but I'm like, no, it's all good. It's a numbers game. I'm just going to go to the next podcast and just building and building and building. And because of this, people have reached out to me, saying, hey, I really liked you on this certain podcast. I'd really like to talk to you about working with you and being one of your coaching clients, because I really think that you can help me. And it was all because I'm just putting myself out there and asking for that business, asking, hey, I feel like I can help you. I feel like I can help you if you work with me. I feel like we can get you, to the top of that mountain where you want to go. I mean, it's not going to be easy, and obviously you as the client are going to have to do the heavy lifting, but you can do it. If you put in the hard work and you have, that resilience.
Yeah, no, I really agree with you, and it's so true, isn't it? And I think just to keep on going and moving forward, and you gain that resilience by gaining those. And I think like sometimes they kind of go through life and no fault on their own, and they don't get many rejections, they don't get many no's. And then when they do get a no, then it sets them back, way back, because they've not had it for however many years or whatever. They're just used to getting consistent like streaks. And I think if you're having those no's, sorry about the noise, it does build that resilience. And I remember when before I did podcasting, even when I first started podcasting, I remember reaching out to people, typing out a message, and then deleting it. Because I'd be like, because I was thinking they're just going to say no, or it was like that fear of rejection, that fear of making like failure almost. I remember, same with jobs, applying for jobs, and that was a big one for me. I remember looking at jobs and going, yeah, I'm underqualified for that. I won't even apply.
Yeah, it's so true. And it's all about getting rid of that limited belief. Break that, because it's all in our head. We say things to ourselves on a regular basis that a lot of times we wouldn't even say to our worst enemies because it's so mean, but we say to ourselves all the time. And we need to stop that. We need to be, first off, we need to be aware of what we're saying to ourselves. And once we start to realize the things that we're saying to ourselves, and we're aware of that, then we can change that. So I challenge, your listeners, if they have, if they feel like they have all these negative thinking, is take one day and jot down every now and again, keep a notepad by you and jot down your thoughts for one day, for one full day. And then the next day, review what your thoughts were. And if it's really, really negative, you'll be very shocked and surprised about that. And then you can start to change that thinking. And then after that, I would challenge your listeners to, if you have a negative thought, to have a positive thought to go behind it. So for instance, if you say to yourself, you look in the mirror and go, oh gosh, I'm getting fat. You can then say to yourself, but you know what? I'm going to go have a healthy lunch today. And then at the end of the day, I'm going to give myself time to do some exercise. And then I'm going to visualize that happened and how good it feels after I complete that task. And do that with all those negative thoughts. Come up with something positive as a rebuttal to that negative thought. And that will truly help you, because if you start to think that way, then you'll start to really think to yourself, well, dude, I can do this. And you start to put things in place, and you start to get yourself out of that comfort zone because you feel good about yourself. I mean, the only way you're going to be able to get out of that comfort zone and grow is if you feel good about yourself. So that's the first and foremost thing that I want to tell everybody is you got to make sure that you are right, mentally, physically, before you can do anything else. You got to make sure that that's on par.
No, I really agree with that. I think it's reframing that, isn't it? Just making that switch and being aware, trying to be mindful of the thoughts that you think. And I think it's such a powerful, way of being, isn't it? Being aware of what you're, tuning into yourself and tapping into what's going on, and trying, like I said, trying to be kind to yourself. And because, like you said, I think sometimes we can think like negatively, and we might not even speak that way to other people, and you just wouldn't, otherwise something bad might happen. It's just like I said, giving yourself that benefit of the doubt. And I remember, like, one weekend, for the first time in a while, I had some bacon, some crispy bacon. I fried some bacon, a bacon sandwich for breakfast.
That's delicious.
Yeah, they're nice, but I felt bad. And then I was like kicking myself, in my head about, like, oh, it's not good for me. Da, da, da. But then it's like you have to just, like I said, flip it around and be like, well, tomorrow I'm gonna eat X, Y, Z instead, or being aware of that. And it's well, I think once you start doing that, and you have to just try and tap into, check like a check in with yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, most definitely. And and not being hard on yourself if you reward yourself with bacon every now and again. Bacon is delicious. I love bacon.
Yeah, exactly.
But I know what you mean. You don't want to eat bacon all the time because of health issues that happen if you eat bacon all the time. But if you eat bacon every now and again, that's okay. We need to enjoy the fruits of life. If you enjoy bacon, eat bacon. But just realize that, everything in moderation, that maybe you eat bacon a day and then tomorrow you eat something more healthy, or at lunch or dinner, something more healthy. But just to constantly only eat healthy things all the time, I mean, if you're good with that, some people are, and they prefer to that. They don't really like to eat anything that's unhealthy, and that's cool. But a lot of us like the taste of different things like bacon, and we should be able to eat bacon and not feel guilty about it, because it's one meal, big deal. We'll figure it out. In the next meal, I'll eat something less fatty in my next meal to make up for that, or whatever.
Yeah, that's it. It's that balance, isn't it? And being kind to yourself with things. And I'm like that at the weekend. Like, I'll play video games the weekend, but I know I'm okay to do that because I've been doing X, Y, Z. Podcasting, work, and many other things. So I kind of give myself that downtime to enjoy that things. And I think me now, I'm 26. I enjoy that more because I can, I can appreciate it. I can look forward to doing that. I think so. I think it's so important, isn't it? And I think like a lot of the time, people should think about these things. That we've been talking about.
I think that you need to reward yourself. You had a good week of working with your clients, putting out good content, doing your podcast, and you want to take a day off to play video games or whatever you like to do. You should be able to do that and not feel any guilt of doing it. You did what you needed to do for the week. You gave it all you got, and now it's time to reward yourself. It goes back to that celebrating yourself, right? I mean, that's what one of my downfalls is not celebrating yourself. That's good. I mean, you're celebrating the hard work you did during the week, and you're celebrating yourself by playing video games or whatever else you like to do. So I think that's great.
No, I appreciate it, Paul. And I think it's all that journey, isn't it? I think we're all kind of on a path, and just we're all kind of constantly learning, aren't we? We're all constantly learning things about ourselves as we go along. And I think as long as you're on that path and you're aware of that, then that's kind of all you can do, isn't it? And that's a start.
Yeah, I thought about this the other day with my podcast, Actions Limits. We have an Ask Paul Anything segment at the end where a viewer emails us to ask me a question, and one of the questions they asked me was, do I have any regrets? And I thought to myself, and I and I don't want to sound conceited or cocky with your viewers here, Adam, but
no.
I didn't have any regrets. I don't have any regrets. I could, knock on wood. If I passed away tomorrow, I would be okay. It's not that I want to live. I want to live a long life. I'm saying that, like, I wouldn't have oh crap, I should have done that. I wish I would have done that. I'm on the path I want to be on. And that made me feel good about myself. That I was like, okay, I'm doing what I want to be doing right now. I'm taking the necessary steps. And if I didn't start my coaching business years back or start the podcast, maybe I would have some regrets, but I'm doing that. I'm doing what I want to do. And that's coaching, doing the call to action, helping out my clients that I started several years back. And, at the time, I was really scared about it because I didn't know the unknown of it. I was throwing things against the wall, seeing they stuck. I'm doing networking groups, and at my first few years, I wasn't getting any clients at all. Nobody wanted to trust me, and I started to think about it. Why was that? And it was because I wasn't being vulnerable with them. You know what I mean? I wasn't opening up to them. They didn't know where I was coming from. And once I started doing that and opening up and being vulnerable, clients started to gravitate towards me because they saw that, like, well, he's gone through the struggle. He will understand me. I want to work with him because I know that he knows, how hard it is. And they didn't do that at first because they're like, who's this guy? He says he's a life coach, but I know nothing about his background. Why should I trust him? But now that I've opened up about my story and how I've grown up and what I've gone through in my life, they're like, okay, I get it. I understand why he's a coach, and I want to work with him.
That's exactly it, isn't it? I think there's like three things that people kind of need, and it's like they need to like, is it like know you, like you, and trust you kind of thing. And it's like if you're not sharing that kind of story, and it's that credibility, isn't it, as well? People, if you're helping people with their mental health and what they're gone through, they're gonna kind of want to know what you've gone through, so they can kind of have that rapport with you. And it's not easy coming out to talk about things. It's sometimes like your story and things. And I think that's how I kind of used to be with it. I kind of used to think about what happened with me. And I think your podcast was one of the first. I think your podcast was probably one of the first podcasts that I shared kind of my story, kind of what happened to me. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. And to go really into it, yeah. And it's not easy talking about it, but I think by talking about it, you're going to help other people, and other people might be going through similar things. And it's much easier to talk about it if the more you do it, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I mean, for the longest time, if I talked about my story, I would almost be emotional, almost be in tears about it.
Yeah.
And now I talk about it so often that, it just rolls off my tongue. And the reason why I talk about it so much is because I want to be able to help people, even if they don't use me as a coach. That's fine. That's fine. Everybody has different personalities. That's good. But I feel like if I say my story on different podcasts, that somebody will get some sort of tidbit out of it and go, okay, I like what he did there. Maybe I should implement that in my life. And for me, that's a win. And that's all because I've been vulnerable with myself and opening up my story.
Yeah.
And it's been liberating. The weight's off my shoulders, and just kind of excited to see where the next steps go.
Yeah. No, that's it. And I think like you're doing really well, from what happens. And I think it's really inspiring, and I think it's motivating because you're putting in the work, and you're doing, and you're helping other people, and you're wanting to make a difference. And I think that's definitely kind of what it's about, isn't it? Using your kind of your experience and helping people with that. Kind of using that to to propose to help other people. And a lot of the time, sometimes people fall into the victim side of it, and they don't do anything. They kind of look at why things aren't going well for them because of X, Y, Z, and it's just twisting that around. And I'm just thinking, have you read any books recently? I usually ask people about books. Have you listened to any audiobooks?
Yeah, I'm going to start a book that I think I said that you posted that it was one of your books that you're reading. They're going to read. It's the Matthew McConaughey book. I think I saw that you read that. I haven't started it yet. I have another book that I'm reading right now. It's You Can Do It. And it's all about mindset. And as you know, Adam, I'm big on mindset. So I love reading books like that. So I'm really finishing that book. And then I'm excited to start the Matthew McConaughey book. And then I have another book that I have here that I start after that. And it's called Everything is Figure Outable.
I've read that.
Oh, yeah. How you like that one?
Marie Forleo, is it?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I really liked it. I think my ex-girlfriend's got it, to be honest. But I
didn't want to bring up bad memories.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I read it. I really liked it. She's done really well, and that's a really good book. And I haven't read The Green Lights yet, but I've definitely got it on my. I'm actually 2 pages into it. I'm 2 pages into it, but my goal is this weekend to read more of it. But I like how he's kind of compiled his journals and diaries into a book, hasn't he? Over is it 30 years or something?
Yeah, probably even longer than that. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm the type I'm the type of guy that I have to finish. If I like a book, I like to finish that book before I get into another book. I mean, there's other people that read a little bit of this book, read a little bit of this book, and that's fine, and that do you. But like for me, I like to finish it. So I like to finish this book before I start another book.
Yeah, that's it. And I I kind of used to be the person who was like reading a book and then I'd read a bit of another one, but now like I'm trying to do that now, try and focus on one thing at a time and then do that. But no, they're really great choices, and I just think as well, like where can people find you on like website, social media, and that kind of thing?
Thanks, Adam, for asking me that question. The
You're
easiest way to
welcome.
get in touch with me is a call to action.coach. And you can set something up on my website that I can
Yeah,
contact you. I even have my cell phone on my website. So if you're old school and just want to pick up the phone and set up an appointment that way, that's fine. I always do a free consultation to make sure that we're a fit for each other. I want to make
mm,
sure that it's right. Because I'll be honest with you, if I feel like it's not, I work with several other coaches. I mean, I work with Adam, and I work with
yeah,
Justin on Actions and Limits, and several others that they may be more of a fit for you than I would be. And if they are that way, I'll give you the reasons why. I won't just say,
mm,
oh, I don't want to work with you. I will explain to you why I feel
yeah,
like
yeah,
this, which might be better for you. I want to do right by the client first and foremost, because if I do right by the client, then the client that's right for me will come my way. That it's all about that energy,
mm,
and that's the same thing
that's
with
it.
Justin. He does that for me as well. Like if he feels like I would be a better fit for a client that he's interviewing, then he'll
Mm,
recommend me, and I obviously they do that for him, and it's just
yeah,
we help each other out, to get where we need to
yeah,
go. I think it's
yeah,
extremely important, and the only way we can do that is be client first base. The money will
yeah.
come, but we got to
Mm.
make sure that we're doing right by the client. That's number one.
Mm. That's a really great point, and I think it's what you give out, you get back, don't you? You have to make sure that clients fit, with it works well, and if it doesn't, then you think someone else is suitable, then you can refer them to them, and they can then do the same to you. And I think that's how it should work, and I think it's how podcast networking and how it should work because we're all on the same similar path.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
couldn't agree more.
Yeah. But no, it's been a pleasure having you back on the podcast again, Paul. It's always great to connect with you, and I wish you all the best in the podcast and in your coaching as well.
Absolutely. I know we keep in touch on a
Yeah,
regular basis. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so it's fun. So I'll continue to look at your content because it's really, really good. And I need to catch up though. I'm
Yeah.
really behind because all the content you put out, I gotta get going and look at it because it's really good stuff. And I wish you the best. And like always, man, whatever you need for help or whatever, I'm here. Reach out to me anytime.
Mm. No, cheers, Paul. I really, really appreciate it, and the same to you as well. I think you're doing great, and I'm really grateful to have you as a friend, and it really means a lot. All your support and everything.
Very good, man. We'll talk to you
Yeah,
soon.
yeah. You take it easy. Cheers, Paul. See you.